Welcome back to Dad Deals. The weather will be warming up before we know it, and a great way to get outdoors and enjoy that weather is on an e-bike. So if you've been thinking about getting an e-bike before you ride off into the sunset, here are 5 things that I think every beginner should know before they buy one. Now, the first step to take is obviously choosing the right e-bike. There are a ton of them out there, and it can be kind of confusing on which ones to choose, which features are worth it, and also which brands to trust. Now, this video is sponsored by Velotric. They were nice enough to send me out their Discover 2 e-bike, but they're not paying me or telling me what to say or anything like that. This is an awesome, fully featured e-bike and a great higher end option, but I'll get into more of why that is later on in the video. One of the first biggest decisions to make is which kind of sensor you want on the bike. There really is 2 options here. There's the cadence sensor and a torque sensor. A cadence sensor detects when you are pedaling and activates the motor based on that motion. So it doesn't matter how hard that you're pedaling, just that your feet are moving to activate that pedal assist. So it's more like an on and off switch. These are typically on cheaper bikes, but one advantage to them is they are a little bit easier on the bike if you're going to be using the throttle. The other more premium sensor is the torque sensor. A torque sensor measures the actual force that you apply to the pedals, and it will adjust the motor assistance based on how hard that you push. So this just creates a much more natural ride, especially if you like to pedal along with the bike. This is honestly one of the hardest decisions to make, as until you start riding the bike, you really aren't sure how these sensors feel. But a really cool feature on the Discover 2 is that you can actually switch between both. So it has both on board, and it's as easy as opening the app or right on the touchscreen, you can switch between a cadence and torque sensor. So you can kind of feel the difference between both. And let me tell you from personal experience, the torque sensor is really nice, and I definitely think that is worth spending a little bit extra money on. Of course, another big feature to look out for before you buy is the range of the battery that's included on the bike. The Discover 2 here has a range of 75 miles per charge, but depending on how far you usually ride, you may want more or less, but just keep that in mind and think about how you normally ride these bikes. My next tip for beginners is to think about the maintenance and support that you're going to get with the bike that you purchase. E-bikes will require maintenance, and having a good relationship with your local bike shop is something that can be very important. Not only can they help you take care of your bike, they'll also give you tips on local trails to ride, different accessories on the bikes, and make sure that your bike is always in tip-top condition. This is one of the reasons why I would avoid any bikes out there that don't have an authorized dealer near you. You can see here on the Velotric site, there are a ton of dealers for these bikes. So pretty much no matter where you are in the United States, you will have support if you ever need it. And just as a personal anecdote, the bikes are easy to assemble. You'll see here I assembled it myself. But the more that I rode it, I did notice that my gears were slipping a little bit, and I just ended up needing a slight adjustment on the gear switcher on the rear wheel. But I'm not an expert at e-bikes. I never really would have known how to do that. So I was able to take it to my local shop, and they were able to get me up and running in no time. But that relationship with a local dealer and local shop is really an invaluable resource to have, and I would really never consider getting a bike that didn't have that support locally. Now, I'm in southeastern Virginia in the Hampton Roads area. So if you're also located there, make sure you stop by E-Bike Alley. They really hooked me up and treated me awesome. And definitely ask for Alex. He is the best e-bike tech out there. And also on the same point, Velotric has an awesome customer support. Their headquarters is in California, so it's in the United States. So if you ever have any issues, you should have no problem getting that support. My third tip for beginners, and something that you might not think about before you buy an e-bike, is transporting it. Unlike a traditional bike, e-bikes can be heavier. Obviously, they have a battery and a motor on board. So you're going to need a bike carrier that's designed to work with e-bikes. A lot of your traditional hanging style bike racks are really not suitable for it. You can see here that I tried to carry mine on there, and it did work, but it was a little bit sketchy. I did end up getting a much nicer hitch-mounted bike rack that was designed for e-bikes, and that is really the route that you should go. So just make sure you plan for that. They are a little bit more expensive, and they do usually require a hitch. So just something to think about if you want to take your bike to different trails or you want to travel with it. Just make sure you keep in mind that you have a way to transport it. The number 4 thing to think about is safety. So I did mention before that you really want to choose an e-bike from a reputable company like Velotric, because these e-bikes are a powerful vehicle. You are going to be traveling up to 28 miles per hour on this thing. So safety is very important, and you're going to want to make sure the parts and components of your bike are a good quality. And one thing about the Discover 2 bike, they are very proud of this, and I think this is an extremely big selling point for their bikes is they are UL certified. Since e-bikes use high-powered batteries and electrical systems, UL certification is crucial for preventing fire hazards from charging your bike, any kind of electrical failures, and ensuring an overall safety of that electric motor. So many bikes out there are not UL certified, but this one is, and if that's important to you, that's a huge selling point. Another awesome safety feature that this bike has is it has a built-in Apple Find My support. So that's basically like an AirTag built into the bike, so it can't be removed. So if you ever misplace the bike or it gets stolen or lost, or if someone needs to find you because you're out riding and you're lost on your bike, this works great with the Apple Find My app. And as long as you're in range of an iPhone or any other Apple device, it can locate the bike in real time. So just a really cool feature. Most of the time people will put an AirTag on their bike, but this has it built in so it cannot be removed. And then last up, the last thing I'll talk about is comfort. The Discover 2 has a step-through design, which I personally like. You don't have to step over a big crossbar. It also has a really nice cushioned seat with suspension. This bike has cruise control, a ton of adjustments with the handlebars. It also has a hydraulic suspension fork, which really helps it stabilize the ride on bumpy trails or rocky terrain, and also maximizes the comfort and just the overall riding experience. And it's just one of the most comfortable bikes that I've ever ridden, e-bike or regular. But that is an important thing to consider. I think even more so than a traditional bike, these e-bikes are designed to really cruise around. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you're comfortable. And I think that just adds to the safety of it as well. So I hope this video gave you some good tips on if you're a beginner, if you're looking at these e-bikes for this spring and summertime. I really do think that this Velotric Discover 2 e-bike is one of the best options you can choose out there. It is pricier, but the premium features it has as just an all-in-one package are really unbeatable. This bike retails for $1,900, but I will have a link in the description with a discount code that you can use. And thanks again to Velotric for sending me this bike to try out. I've loved it. As always, if you find the video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time on Dad Deals.